The big story was off the field. Julian Nagelsmann is headed to Bayern Munich to replace Hansi Flick. And replacing Julian Nagelsmann at Leipzig is American Jesse Marsch. Your thoughts?
Well, first off, congratulations to Jesse Marsch. He is going where no man or woman has ever gone before in terms of an American coaching, and the specific American that he is, I should say, because, this is a guy that had the traditional and classic American upbringing, growing up in Wisconsin, playing youth soccer, playing high school soccer, going on to play and go to school in college at Princeton, going on to Major League Soccer, where he had a successful career, becoming a Major League Soccer coach, being an assistant coach, coming from the Bob Bradley coaching tree, all that kind of stuff. And now he finds himself in the Bundesliga. It's wonderful. It's wonderful for him. I'm so happy for him and for his family and for this opportunity that he is getting. I think it is important for the perception of American soccer, and in particular for the perception of the American soccer coach. But it also should be pointed out that he was given opportunity and advantages that most American coaches don't have. And look, here, this is what it comes down to. That's not a knock on him. I know in this day and age where you have to admit and be thankful for, and even at times maybe even apologize for the advantages or the privileges that you have. Look, we all have different advantages and privileges along the way. We all have different opportunities that are afforded to us that might not be afforded to others. And you make some of your own luck, and you take and recognize those opportunities that you have. And Jesse Marsch getting involved in the Red Bulls system, without a doubt, if that doesn't happen, I'm not sure Jesse Marsch is where he is. As a matter of fact, I don't think he is where he is. Even if you look at someone like Bob Bradley, who was the last kind of person to be doing it at that level, he parlayed the international success that he had into those opportunities. Jesse Marsch, in the same way that, look, there's no way I would have played in Serie A without the World Cup. And yet we are seeing players now at a young age go over and do great things. Jesse Marsch used Red Bull in the best possible way. And once again, I don't begrudge him, but I think it is important, because I was asked a question about coaching and American coaches out there. And my good friend Roger Bennett actually put out a tweet where he was praising Jesse Marsch, but also praising, his and I don't have the tweet in front of me, but he was praising what he saw was a willingness for Jesse Marsch to take risks and to go where no others have gone. And my point was, I think there's a lot of American coaches that would love to be quote unquote risk takers out there, but they don't have that pathway, and they don't have that machine that is Red Bulls that facilitated all of these moves in a way that wouldn't have been available to Jesse Marsch if he hadn't. And once again, it doesn't mean that Jesse Marsch isn't not only a good coach, but potentially a great coach. But he used what was at his disposal. And Jesse Marsch is not only a good coach and a good man, he's also a smart man. And he recognized that this was a back door into a very select and elite, and for American coaches, pretty much closed system over there in terms of coaching. And well done, Jesse, for finding that back door and getting in there. So Jesse Marsch, Racing, Wisconsin. Or Racing? Is it Racing or Racing? What is it over there in Wisconsin? I should know this, but I don't. And then in the Bundesliga, from Racing Wisconsin all the way to the Bundesliga. So absolutely incredible how far he has come. And now, like any coach, he's going to be under pressure, because this is a team that has aspirations of winning the Bundesliga. Well, in order to do that, you have to beat the Goliath that is Bayern Munich. Not easy. And keep in mind that Jesse Marsch was a former assistant coach at RB Leipzig, so he certainly knows the setup there, and he knows the expectations. And whether he's American or not, he's going to be judged relative to those expectations right there. What did you think when you heard about this, Mosse?
No, it's great news. It's interesting because being the Salzburg coach doesn't automatically mean that Leipzig will be your next step. Jesse Marsch's predecessor at Salzburg, Marco Rosa, parlayed success there into a job with Gladbach and now Borussia Dortmund. And Jesse Marsch was mentioned as a candidate at Dortmund. And had he been offered that job, I think he would have taken it and Red Bull wouldn't have stood in his way. But when you see his whole trajectory from coaching New York Red Bulls to being an assistant with Leipzig, as you mentioned, this is the logical next step. It makes perfect sense to me. And I think he'll do very well.
I just, and the only reason that I brought up, the Roger Bennett tweet was, in this day and age where we are, I think, rightfully celebrating the players and now, the coaches that we have that are Americans that are doing, I think part of the conversation has to be how it all ultimately happened. And it doesn't mean that there isn't quality that exists that didn't get that opportunity. And oftentimes we'll talk about it with players. For example, if you have a European community passport, you have an advantage. And you might be, there might be another player who is as good or maybe even better than you that doesn't have that advantage, that didn't get those opportunities. And so while we, as I said, rightfully celebrate what they are doing and the potential for them opening up hearts and minds and opening up pathways so that that next person has that ability to do so, there are also, even Christian Pulisic along the way, okay? So that these have to be, I think those have to be part of the stories here. And once again, it's not to tear anybody's accomplishments down or anything like that. But I just think that there's so much more quality that's there, that if given the opportunity, I think could really, really do some great things. And whether it's individual players or whether it's coaches out there. Somebody asked me about Jim Curtin over there in Philadelphia. And he's still a young, relatively inexperienced coach, but he's certainly had success, albeit in one place. There's nothing that says to me that a Jim Curtin, if given the same type of opportunities that Red Bull has given a Jesse Marsch, he couldn't have the same type of trajectory or the same type of success. Or even go over there and, there's not some magical, mystical type of game that is being played over there that means that either players or coaches can't have success over there. There's plenty of coaches and players that could have success over there. Yes, they have to adapt and to adjust to a new culture, both on and off the field. But that's always going to be the case. And I actually think, look at someone like Jesse Marsch, who, he traveled the world. He has studied, he has been a sponge and absorbed a whole lot from a lot of different people. He is good at multiple languages and has immersed himself and when he talks about the importance of language, I think it's so important for people to hear that because it enables you to communicate, obviously, but it confirms a level of respect to the people and to the country and the culture in which you are applying your trade. And I think all that kind of stuff is so important. I think there's a lot of other people's, if they were a lot of other people out there and coaches out there that if given that opportunity could be really, really successful. And they just haven't had that opportunity in the past.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops every week. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.